Hey, everybody, welcome to Bearded Baker Banter. It's a sports podcast. There's a lot of things going on in the NFL yesterday, meaning Monday, November 11th. So we decided to do a little broadcast here on Tuesday.
November.
Did you just say November?
I don't know why I said November.
Whoa.
March 11th, I'm sorry. But hey, that being said,
No, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in your car, you're not being pulled over.
it's an emergency episode. No, we had an emergency episode that we wanted to air, do a quick one here on Tuesday to kind of recap all the stuff that was going on in free agency the day that it opened yesterday. So a lot of things going on here. Trey, you want to get us started off here?
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, we are in March, just to reiterate. But I mean, football today is just dominating the headlines. I mean, we got conference tournaments that are great. We got baseball starting up, spring training's getting closer and closer to opening day, and yet here we are again, fellas, talking about the NFL. I mean, I feel like it just dominates the headlines and everything with sports media. So, I mean, and rightfully so, because I found myself getting excited for the football season again, just with today and all the news. It's crazy seeing all these contracts, big names moving, and I feel like this is one of the most exciting free agency opening days in a while.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot that happened, and it was like
gosh.
a waterfall. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's just what happened. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like It was nuts.
I would say for like 3 hours this afternoon, I was reading tweets where I'm like, wait, this can't be real. And then
it was way more than 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, true. But
yeah,
I just feel like they kept coming and coming.
Yeah.
I think it hit me like, let's see, finished up like my fourth period class. And I think I had a student who's a pretty big NFL fan stop by my class and like, Mr. Baker, did you see all the breaking news in the NFL? And I'm like, I haven't seen anything because I don't look at my phone all day. And then it was like, you're right. It was right around like 2 o'clock on.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Everything was just coming left and right. I mean, we sat there and the first news I heard was the exciting news for my team with Wilkins. But then it's like Kirk Cousins goes, and heartbreaking news. Josh Jacob goes, to the cheese land.
That's right, baby.
Wait, Trey, do you hear the Packers go Pack go song right now?
Should I close my mouth?
Trey, close your mouth. Close your mouth. But yeah, it was exciting. Like it was almost like that feeling of like a selection Sunday type feel, which is coming up next week. But yeah, I guess this is the legal tampering period of time where nothing's official, but everything's getting put in place pretty much.
Right.
So
yeah. No, I know one. But
I was gonna say, I know one of the things that we have been talking about this offseason so far is how the free agency in terms of the running back market was wide open. Some huge names out there, and we got a lot of answers today with that market. Granted, we got some questions now too. People that weren't necessarily free agents prior to this that now that are appealing in my eyes that could really impact the team. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool to see our questions that we had out in the open kind of get answered just yesterday. So we could touch on some of those running backs too to start.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of quickly do a list here. We got Josh Jacobs now a Packer, Saquon Barkley is an Eagle, Tony Pollard a Titan, DeAndre Swift's a Bear, Devin Singletary became a Giant, Antonio Gibson's now a Patriot, Zach Moss is now a Bengal. That actually happened late last night. You got Gus Edwards is now a Charger, Austin Eckler is now with the Commanders, and then Chase Edmonds re-up back with Tampa Bay. So top to bottom, I mean, I know we kind of put 6 out there. The only one that we really kind of talked about a lot is Derrick Henry, and he's still sitting there to be determined. I mean, but with the Titans acquisition of Pollard, it's hard to say that Derrick Henry ends up staying with Tennessee, which I don't think will happen.
right.
But I mean, who the heck knows? You never know.
No way. I think right now, I mean, obviously he's probably, now with Joe Mixon being released, I mean, I don't know if Joe Mixon is quite on that level of Derrick Henry being, sought after, but you've got to think Derrick Henry is going to one of two teams.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Cowboys or Dolphins?
No, I actually Cowboys,
Ravens.
yes. Ravens, the other. I think they're going to throw
Okay.
some money at him, especially with them losing Gus Edwards. I think you need a back, and I once again I don't know. I don't think they're going to go broke over Derrick Henry. I think even seeing that Austin Eckler deal being 2 years, $11 million, that's low for him, and he's productive. I mean, he's not gonna tote the rock every down for you, but I mean, he's the type of back that you kind of want in the NFL, being able to catch the ball, out of the backfield.
For sure.
Because I mean, your backs now are such a big part of the receiving game. You almost have to, but I'd honestly say also Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to be at one of those two places, I think, as well, either the Ravens or the Cowboys. He's a Cowboy killer, so hey,
I honestly think I see him going to the Cowboys before Derrick Henry, and for that reason, he's from Texas, always plays there well.
Keep an eye on Minnesota too. Remember, they also released Madison recently. They released Madison. I could see it happening. I'm saying somebody more like a Derrick Henry there, maybe. But
that would be brutal
because there's
they're gonna be bad.
Yeah,
and you know what?
I don't know. Real quick, just to stay on Minnesota, but did you see there's a possibility there's a quarterback that's being floating around
for the Vikings?
God. Yes, I did.
Jimmy G.
No, I saw your other quarterback, the guy that saw ghosts when he was for the Jets, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. Yeah. I think that's the guy before Jimmy G. Jimmy G's suspended. He's doing performance enhancers.
Yeah, but they still have Nick Mullins.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Two games let him in, but no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I have a bold prediction that's going to happen this offseason as well regarding the Vikings. I think they're going to trade Justin Jefferson.
No.
Dude,
I can see it. I'm telling you right now.
I can't imagine he's too happy though right now.
Oh, he's got to be pissed.
That's what I'm saying. I can't imagine.
You got to build around him, man. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think best.
You build teams around wide receivers.
In this day and age, yes, I think you can. I mean, look at the contract money. They're getting the most. I mean, you're not building a team around a running back. I mean, don't get me wrong.
You got to get a guy that gets him the ball.
I was going to say it's quarterback.
Okay, I know that, guys. I know you need your franchise guy, but I'm saying Jefferson would be a very, very important piece to help build around a quarterback, right? Like, he's the best receiver in football right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The guy missed how many games and still was top 10 in receiving. So if I'm the Vikings at this point, I don't know who you're going to get as your kind of like what you call that, a stopgap guy, kind of like what the Raiders did with Gardner Minshew. Like, they got rid of Hoyer, so they're going to bring Minshew in. I still think the Raiders are drafting quarterback. I think if they're sitting there at 11, I think there's a chance that Michael Penix or McCarthy are going to be there. And I actually think McCarthy's going to be gone earlier. So I think if they're smart, I mean, you take Michael Penix and put him in an offense with Addison and Jefferson on the outside, and their tight end is pretty good too. Hawkinson, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it Hawkinson?
Yep.
He's coming off a knee injury, but I mean, that right there, you put a guy in that coach's. I like their coach. I don't think they're going to suck because they're coach. I think they're going to suck because they're rebuilding again.
Then maybe just because he can also be kind of a scat back too. Maybe you pick up a Joe Mixon as your running back.
That's who I think, Tyler, I could see going to the Vikings.
Then you got a lot of athleticism. If you get Michael Penix on that team with that, I mean, think about the team he had at Washington. I mean, he had 2 wide receivers. He had a running back. Like, I mean, skills positions. I mean, they were stacked.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've also seen Penix out of the Raiders, which is a possibility. But I'm also seeing Justin Fields' name being thrown around to the Raiders and also the Vikings.
See, when we were texting earlier, which kind of prompted this whole emergency episode, I don't think we could stop sending tweets and texts to each other. We're like, guys, we just got to get on and talk about it. It doesn't make any sense. I think they're just really trying to find a fit for Fields. But the offensive coordinator from the Bears last year is now at the Raiders. So, like, why if they blamed him not fitting his offense, why would the Raiders go out and sign Fields at this? Unless you're going to get him now. I mean, unless now you might, because now what the Falcons did today, I mean, you might now get Fields for a 3rd round pick, which if you can get a Fields for a 3rd round pick, maybe, but like, I think his value just continued to drop, or keep the damn guy there. Draft Caleb Williams.
That's what I was going to say. You could keep them both.
Yeah,
I can see that being a possibility.
Someone's going to get hurt, and someone's going to need a quarterback. I think that will hurt Fields' career. I think he'll turn into a Cam Newton now.
Ooh, it's pretty early for that.
I don't know if he was ever as good as Cam Newton.
Hold on.
I don't know he was.
Hold on. Let's not sit here and act like Cam Newton didn't have some good years. He was a very productive and good quarterback. Trent. He
MVP
won a year.
Yeah.
Did he play in a Super Bowl? Or I think he definitely played in a. Yeah. So I mean,
no, I'm not saying it's on a
bad thing. But
no, but I think what I'm saying is Cam Newton at the end of his career, how he was just going to the Patriots because they just needed a guy, right? Like, I just felt like he became that. Yeah.
I don't know. To me, assessing the running back movement in particular, the one that I think is the best move, all things considered, I think the Titans getting Tony Pollard for 3 years, $24 million. That's $8 million. That's it. Much less than what most running backs are getting. And I think the Titans are kind of, I know they're in like a rebuild transition period and stuff. And I think they're starting to build a team around them that gets away from the run, ground pound, rely on Derrick Henry for all these touchdowns. I think they're really committing to Will Levis. I think they're going to spread the ball, like empty sets, a lot of shotgun, pistol, whatever it is. And Pollard fits that scheme. I think he fits it well with how quick he is. He can run the ball in between the tackles, but he can also catch the ball and spread it out too. So realistically, all things considered, $8 million a year for Tony Pollard, who has proven himself in the league as a consistent weapon. I like that move a lot by the Titans. I mean,
and
I'm trying to take bias out of it. Obviously, I like the Josh Jacobs move because I think it was just great all around. But considering all things and trying to take myself out of the situation, I like the Tony Pollard signing the most.
Hey, and Trey, to your point about the Titans too, building around with what they have a 7th pick. And you could get one of those top 3 wide receivers with that 7th pick. And I think
so. Well, don't draft a receiver. Get Joe Alt.
But then
take Fashanu. Take one of those offensive tackles because you just signed Cushenberry, the top center in the league from Denver. You just signed him, which is an amazing signing.
They
build up the offensive line.
They drafted.
I feel like they just got an offensive lineman too. Though.
Yeah,
they did. Okay, so solidify
the guy out of Northwestern.
Yeah,
that's who they drafted last year.
Skoronsky.
I'm not. You guys are really big on the Titans. Are going to be at the bottom of that division still. I'm just saying they're not.
I'm not disagreeing, but I agree with Trey saying that. I think they are. They know what they want to get.
Yeah, I think they're going to get exposed for how important Vrabel was at actually getting them to play the way they did. This guy's going to have to buy over a locker room that probably is a little bit upset with seeing that happen. But I'm going to say the headline that got me. Matter of fact, this was just an interaction recently. Was obviously Saquon Barkley. One, I mean, it's got kind of was it Allen way back in the day for the Raiders, who left the Raiders and then signed with the Chiefs.
Marcus Allen,
right? And now, in division rival. So now you sit there and you get in division rival, but I don't blame Saquon. I mean, he got a pretty good. He got paid as probably as good as you can. I think he's behind 2 backs right now. I think guy for the Colts is getting paid a little bit more than him, and then there's one other back out there, Christian McCaffrey, that's going to be getting paid more than him. But I was really taken back by Tiki Barber's. Like,
Yeah, I saw
he
that.
scolded him and was like, "You are like to cross the line." I get it. Like, you went to in division rival, but to say that you're dead to me, like that type of
It
comment.
was,
And I
that was
love
petty.
Saquon's response to say, "Next time we meet face to face, don't come smiling at me. Like that crap's
Mhm.
done."
Yeah.
Like I think he did. I mean, Saquon would beat the absolute hell out of Tiki
So
Barber. But I'm just saying that backfield now. I mean, but here's the thing: is everyone's like, "Oh, and the Eagles are such a run heavy team." I'm like, they're not a run heavy team unless they are doing a tush push, right? Like, I think that's where they got in trouble is they got away from running the ball and put it
Yep.
too much on Hurts's arm. So if they do, with the new offensive coordinator that I know Tyler's not a fan of at all, Kellen Moore, if they do
I was
run the
going to bring that
ball,
up.
then it could be a great sign. But I don't know. I think Saquon might be a little frustrated with how many touchdowns he misses out on down at the 1 yard line.
So to really touch on that point is you already kind of, said what I was going to say is Kellen Moore. That's your offensive coordinator. And if you think that this is going to be some crazy electrifying offense, you're very wrong. All right. Unless the players are calling it, because you have all the talent in the world. All right. And you got a very scary backfield. You got very scary wide receivers on the outside and a quarterback that can lead you. All right. I don't think they're going to be able. I don't think they're going to be able to execute just because of their offensive coordinator that they hired. I think you're going to see they have a ton of talent, and it's just going to be wasted. And again, I don't know I don't know why. I don't know if the answer is, hey, it's Jalen Hurts just kind of trying to do too much, or hey, if it's just the coaching and the calls trying to do too much all the time. It's like I don't know the answer to that. So we'll see. But I think Kellen Moore is why they will not be successful.
But how much do you think Kellen Moore is going to be more of just a quarterback coach? Like, do you think with what's his name, Sirianni, he with his job being on the line and he is an offensive guy, former offensive coordinator, do you think that he's going to take the offense over and control it though more? Because then that could be a different story.
Yeah, could be. But
I don't know.
I mean,
We're
he
kind of
has
getting
the
off
title of
task,
offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know we want to stay on free agency. Sorry, but that just I don't know. That once again, I'm just that Saquon in division move. That's big. That's Giants fans. That has to hurt.
Yeah, in referring to the Saquon move, I think on paper that's like the most exciting when it comes to the running backs because Saquon's such a versatile weapon and he has so much potential and he's still pretty young. But that's a big contract that they gave him, second highest ever for running back in terms of yearly salary. But Tyler, to your point, I think the Eagles should become a boring offensive team. And that's the way they're going to succeed with Saquon. Is
exactly.
make him your primary source of offense if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, and then you have all these crazy weapons around him where it opens up the pass game. It opens up Jalen Hurts and his ability to throw because you're right. When you do rely on Jalen Hurts to throw the ball all the time, they struggle and they struggle hard. I don't know about the offensive coordinators too much. So, I mean, it could be Sirianni, could be more, but realistically, they need to run their offense through Saquon because it opens up their offense more altogether. So, could be the best signing for free agency in terms of running backs, but it also could be the worst because you're committed to him now.
I could see this situation being very similar to a Christian McCaffrey. Revive your career.
Whoa. Hold on a second. McCaffrey's career was never down. He was the most productive running back for years before even the 49ers.
Yeah, but what did he really have to show for it? And
not
a whole lot.
I think he had a lot of statistics to show for it. He didn't have the team success because the Panthers are a poverty franchise, but
abysmal. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's the same way. Like Saquon was on a garbage Giants team for many years, and now he goes to the Eagles, and they could be decent.
So I'd like to jump in because Trey, you kind of set me up for this one here. Biggest losers of a franchise today, and they've been is the Carolina
Panthers.
Panthers. Now, listen to this. Okay, listen to this. The Panthers, if you haven't heard the news, Brian Burns went to the Giants, right? Traded Giants. But now, keep it in mind, the Panthers have now turned Christian McCaffrey and Brian Burns into 2 second-round picks, a third, a fourth, and 2 fifths. None of the picks that they got for those 2 studs there were ever higher than number 39 overall. Last year, teams were offering the Panthers 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, and they held and freaking failed. So that guy down in Carolina, I know he's rich as hell. He can buy whatever the hell he wants in this world, but he is the absolute worst owner in football. I mean, he might be making a run with like overall in the history of the NFL with Dan Snyder. Like, I'm just saying, like, it is that bad. Maybe not from like a
I was gonna
perspective.
Say,
then again, he was throwing drinks at fans last year too. But Panthers, big losers. And I will say, I'm not going to say that these are the biggest winners, but the Giants, even though you lost Saquon, that defensive line with Burns, Thibodeau, and big guy in the middle, I can't think of him, number 73. It's a McDonald, but anyway, that's a scary defensive front. And I don't know. I just thought that might be something that, although the Giants are like, oh my gosh, you invested in Daniel Jones, blah, blah, blah. I like what they did on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's legit.
Not only the defensive side of the ball, Trent, but they signed John Runyon from the Packers, who was a great guard. I mean, he let up 2 sacks. I think his whole career with the Packers was his pass rush percentage was great too. And they also signed a guy from the Raiders.
Illuminar.
Yes, another offensive lineman. So you see these teams that have been struggling for a while, and I think they're doing the right things, all things considered. They didn't even put an offer up for Saquon, apparently, which is crazy to think about. But then again, maybe they had their priorities straight. They knew this is a hit that we're going to have to take. We got to let him walk. He's one position player. And let's build up the line so he can use maybe not as talented position players, but can get the production out of them.
Well,
I mean, that's
protect where you spent your money.
Right.
Daniel Jones. I mean, he was, you guys think back to that season last year, Daniel Jones was like pretty much like, hey, I'm actually going to start like 20 some yards back behind the center because I just know I'm going to be back there anyways. So, but I don't know. You guys have any big winners and losers?
Well, real quick, Trent, to touch on your Panthers point, Luke Combs had something to say about that on Twitter as well. I don't know if you saw that. He was pretty frustrated. Not at you, but he was just frustrated with the McCaffrey, the Burns thing. I did also see, I don't know if you guys saw it, that there was a possibility that the Vikings were going to actually match the Eagles on the Saquon deal. Now, I don't think that went anywhere. I think Saquon's pretty satisfied with where he's going. But I did see that there was possibility.
He gave his top 3 teams that he was going to go to. It was Houston, Chicago, and Philly. So that's just crazy to me. But
he returns back to Pennsylvania. I think it's a good move for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I think you said about winners, Trent.
Yeah, winners, losers.
I do think that both your teams today, both the Packers and the Raiders, had pretty good days. I think the Packers were able to sign some big names there to fill some spots where they needed. And honestly, I mean, and Christian Wilkins on your defensive line. Now you got to deal with Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins. I mean, that's kind of scary to think about.
And
who's the other young lot?
Malcolm Kuntz. I mentioned earlier.
That's right.
We also drafted Tyree Wilson out of A&M, Texas Tech, who's still developing. But now that you got an inside-outside threat, and I think Wilkins, I know some people will say, you paid so much, but I'm like, with the cap the way it is, who gives a hell, man?
Yep.
Like, these owners are so darn rich, and out there in Vegas with how much money Davis has by not only owning the Raiders, but also the WNBA team out there that's the best in the WNBA. Like, the guy's got money. He's going to pay what he's got to pay. Simple as that. And I love it. I did love the Wilkins move. Great locker room guy. I think that's what he brings too for the Raiders. It did hurt to see Josh Jacobs go just because of his story. I do think, though, when we played our last couple games without him, because we beat the Chiefs without Josh Jacobs. It also just shows that the running back position is kind of like a dime a dozen. But I mean, Josh Jacobs, in terms of just like a person, like a good person and hard-nosed football player, that hurts to see. It hurts to see him leave, because I liked him. I really thought him and Pierce. I thought Pierce was going to get him to stay, but good for him. He got paid, and I don't think the Raiders are going to pay him that much.
To kind of touch on both points you said, Tyler, about the Raiders and the Packers. One, I really did like the Raiders move. They got their guy in Wilkins, who was probably one of the most sought after free agents, and it frees up a draft pick for the Raiders to maybe add on to another defensive spot or wherever you guys need. I know, Trent, you maybe weren't the biggest fan of it, but I like the signing of Gardner Minshew. He's a very capable quarterback in the league. He wins.
Steady.
He's a competitor. With the Colts last year, he made them a bubble team. I guess I'm just caught up in that term now, but they competed. They were fighting for a playoff spot with him, and I just think he's a gamer, and I think that's exactly what the Raiders need, is someone that's gonna make everyone compete and try every game. But in terms of the Packers trend, you said it hurt seeing Jacobs go to the Packers, and I was ecstatic for the first 30 minutes. Like, holy shit, we're gonna have Jones, Jacobs, best 1-2 punch probably in the league.
Jingleheimer Schmidt, no.
Yeah. And then I saw a report saying that the Packers already confirmed they're going to work on keeping Jones. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Boom. Heartbroken, because I mean, granted, I agree with the move with kind of swapping Jacobs for Jones with the age and injury prone and everything like that. But man, Jones got us. He was probably the most consistent Packer player besides like Rodgers and Adams, like ever. He tore up the Eagles whenever he played them, or not Eagles, the Cowboys. Sorry. It was just kind of sad to see him go. But I think the bigger signing for the Packers was the safety they got, Xavier McKinney, who was actually kind of targeted, what it sounds like, the whole offseason for the Packers. They knew that's the guy they wanted, and with their new D coordinator that literally used McKinney's name as a player that he kind of wants for his type of defensive scheme, that's huge that they got him. Especially losing Darnell Savage to the Jaguars. So overall, I think it was just weird to see the Packers be so active in free agency, because that never happens, right? Like we never spend money on players we don't draft.
Last time he did, Julius Peppers and Woodson.
Charles, and we won the Super Bowl. So let's do it. Huh?
I do think, Trey, I know you're super happy with your team, maybe offensively. I would be interested to see what you could do to get T. Higgins, because I think that would be a game changer for your franchise.
We don't need him, Dan.
I think you do.
I don't think we do at all. We have so many weapons.
Biggest loser today? Dallas Cowboys. They do anything. And they talked a big game. Now, I know it's early and there's still a lot of names out there, but I'd say right now, with all the moves and stuff, they didn't jump on anything.
It's weird.
And they lost Pollard. There's still a ton of safeties out there, guys. There's a ton of defensive safeties out there. And then the one I'm keeping an eye on, I don't know if Niners are going to pull the trigger on it anymore, but is that the Vikings outside linebacker, Hunter. I know that was being talked about. Daniel Hunter guy. So
I'll tell you who I think is the biggest losers was the Buffalo Bills. They didn't
have a choice. They didn't have a choice. They had the worst cap space of any team in the NFL. They had to literally just overhaul.
I get it, but
same with the Dolphins.
Cap, I don't know if cap even exists really.
But Dolphins lost a lot of guys too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
They lost their one top offensive lineman today.
Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd he go? Panthers. He went to the Panthers, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But no, I don't know. The Bills, like, they need their window is closing for their Super Bowls, right? And they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They should have been in the AFC Championship, but Mahomes has been kind of running that table. I don't know. I just think, like, I was expecting them to make a couple more moves. I know that Gabe Davis is going to be a cap hit. I know they restructured Allen's contract a little bit to free them up, but they didn't do anything other than sign Mitch Trubisky. Like, I just don't get. I just don't really understand what they're doing. So
yeah,
that's just me.
I'm gonna go a little different route here for my biggest winner today. So I'm not gonna go with a team. I'm gonna go with a person. I'm gonna go with Kirk Cousins' agent. Biggest winner. I'm just gonna put this out here, guys. Kirk Cousins has now made in his career $330 million in guaranteed money, and he only has one playoff win in his career. So
ridiculous.
4 years, $180 million, $50 million signing bonus. So Kirk Cousins, he's saving up that Kirk cash for Cole's cash because holy hell, the man. Keep this in mind now, guys. The guy that was drafted by the same team that drafted RG3 in the same year, right? Remember, everyone was super puzzled. They drafted RG3, and then like a couple rounds later, they drafted Kirk. I'm not saying his career is great, but pay wise,
lasted longer.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, pay wise, and he's coming off of an Achilles injury, and he got that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's a lot of unknowns, but I mean, I just tip of the cap to that to Kirk and his agent because I really feel like that's a great contract for him. And he's going to a pretty good place. I think they're going to be all right down there.
Yeah, I was just saying, to take it one step further, Trent, I think the Falcons also win with that deal too, though. They have a lot of money to spend, and they got, like, Tyler, all they need is a quarterback. That's literally all that they needed, was someone to get the ball. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know we wanted to kind of keep it short and sweet here, and I don't know if you guys had anything else to kind of put out, but I was going to end with some Kirk Cousins question real quick.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys had any more input you want to include here before we kind of wrap
the only
things
thing
up.
the only thing I was going to say is how surprised I was by the lack of wide receiver movement today in the free agency in general. You have some big names still out there. Let me see if I can find. Not the biggest names, but Odell Beckham is one of them. Allen Robinson, Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark. You got Mecole Hardman that just won a Super Bowl. We have the game-winning catch. Curtis Samuel. I mean, you got a lot of big-name players out there that can really contribute to some teams. And really, the only big name that was signed was Gabe Davis. So just kind of,
he's technically kind of a number 2 wide receiver.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most of those guys are, but still, it's just weird not to I feel like that's a position that you can grab some guys from pretty cheap and have a big impact on the team. So.
Yep. I'm looking at. I'm anxious to see. I know everyone's probably on like, oh, where's Derrick Henry going? I'm actually anxious to see where Tyron Smith signs. Big offensive tackle from Dallas. I know he's had some health issues as of late, but I still think he's serviceable. And I think some teams like the Jets, although I think the Jets are totally going to sign Bakhtiari. But there's some teams out there that would benefit from signing Tyron Smith. I hate to say it, but I think he's going to go to the Chiefs and chase a ring. But I don't know. He's the name I'm looking for. And then I will, although it kind of makes me laugh that their odds stayed the same to the Super Bowl. Gotta at least address the deal that the Steelers got to sign Russell Wilson. Like, they only had to pay him $1.2 million. Like, why not? Like, why the hell not? Like, you're paying him less than Gardner Minshew's getting paid next year by your team, right? So it's like you just got a starter for that amount of money, and I love it because Denver has to pay like $38 million to him, and I hate the Broncos.
All of it, yeah.
So that's all I really have, guys. I'm looking forward to probably waking up, getting on the phone, and seeing more updates throughout the night because it's going to happen.
Yeah, I just saw Leonard Williams sign.
Well,
yep,
they're signing with Seattle, 3 years, $65 million.
Ooh. Patrick Queen to Seattle was a big move too, by the way. That was big. Yeah. Head coach was his coordinator last year. But all right, Tyler, let's go with those questions here and close this up.
No, I was just gonna I guess it's just kind of one question because I was gonna end with the Kirk Cousins thing because I believe it was the biggest deal in terms of guaranteed money in that. Coming off of an Achilles injury the way that he is coming off of, Do you think that the Falcons overpaid?
You want me to
Yeah,
start?
I do. I think it's hard not to overpay for a quarterback because the teams that really, really want them will overpay. And the quarterback's always going to take, especially someone like Kirk Cousins, he's going to take the best deal that he gets offered to him. He doesn't really have loyalty to a franchise or a city. Granted, he's played for a couple teams for a couple of years, but all things considered, it's the quarterbacks are going to take what's the best offer given to them. And sometimes you gotta, it's like buying a house right now. You gotta outbid other teams, whether or not it's worth it or not, because you need to get your guy. And I think the Falcons did need to get their guy. Granted, they did overpay. I think it's going to work out for him. I know the only question mark is the Achilles injury and how he comes back from that. I know a lot of times
a lot of talent around him.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is when people tear their ACL, a lot of times they have ankle issues and other issues down the road because of that injury. So I hope that doesn't happen where he like kind of compounds a couple injuries here and there, because that would really hurt the Falcons as a whole.
Yeah. Trump.
But I'm going to say, I mean, I don't think it's like, so it's a lot of money, but I don't think I think they needed to do it, right? It was the right move.
Right.
I mean, Raheem Morris comes in day one and says, we'll win more games if we have a different quarterback. So it's like, okay, they made the move. They probably got the best guy in the market. I would take Kirk Cousins over Justin Fields. I think he's a more proven passer.
I was say established.
Yeah.
And
I think what you can do now is not kind of like what we said. You don't have to worry about drafting a quarterback this year.
And development and all that other stuff.
Yeah, so I think now what you do to make sure that, like Trey said, no other new injuries occur is you either trade up a little bit and get the best offensive lineman off the board, or you take the best offensive lineman that's available and continue to try to build up that protection in front of them, because don't really need any more weapons offensively down there. You got a running game, you got a passing game in terms of wide receiver, and hopefully a tight end that, I don't know. I know I won't be taking him, but I'm sure there's going to be people out there drafting Kyle Pitts pretty darn early in fantasy. So, Trey,
Hey, to Trey's point earlier, the Falcons have the 8th pick, so maybe they get a guy like Joe Alt.
Yeah, I don't see the Falcons now, especially with their quarterback moving out of that spot. I don't think they're going to trade up. I think they either take one of the 2 top tackles in Fashanu or Alt, or I think they take Dallas Turner, the edge rusher from Alabama. I think it is.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's the other thing I can't wait for, guys, the draft now, man. Because these free agent moves, they answer so many questions about the draft and everything, right? You see guys sign a position that they're in huge need of, then it's like, all right, maybe that's not as much of a priority now because they have a guy. So,
right.
I don't know. I just like I said, the NFL dominated the headlines today, and it's March. Right, it's March Madness season.
It's not November. It's not November.
Yeah. I know we wish it was, maybe, but
maybe it was the football thing that got me.
Yeah,
but all right. Well, we just want to wrap it up here. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the free agency. Keep an eye out. We got a big March Madness basketball episode releasing this Friday, so we're gonna be picking our 64. All right, sorry, 68.
Gotta warm up my golden pipes a little bit,
That's right. Yep, it's coming.
These things ready to go.
But then Selection Sunday on Sunday. March Madness begins then, guys, next week.
Yeah.
So coming fast, coming hard. So
whoa, okay.
Trey.
All right.
We'll leave it alone. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys later this week.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah.